Hello, you guys. Come on in. Kirsten Liebelt. It's Friday night. It is Friday night. Can you believe it? The week is already done. Like, how did this happen so fast? So this week we did a challenge. We did a 5-day challenge in the Facebook group. The Facebook group for insulin resistance for women. We just finished the 5-day challenge, and we did. Oh man, if you were in the 5-day challenge this week, it's so much fun. Tell me in the comments below if you were in the challenge, if you were a part of that. So we went through a whole bunch of stuff about insulin resistance and ingredient trade outs. We did pantry. I took you into my fridge. I clean my fridge once a month just for you. And then we talked about, oh man, what did we do? We talked about supplementation, and then we did a recipe. Today we did the recipe. We always do the recipe on day 5. And today we did ranch meatloaf. Have you guys ever heard of that? So, I love Maria Emmerich, if you know anything about like my content. So I love Maria Emmerich because she's such a creative genius when it comes to ingredient trade outs. And I find that it is so unbelievably beneficial. She's the one that, okay, so you were not, well, there is a Facebook group that you can jump into if you want to, and you could see the replay if you'd like to. She's the one that taught me how to, instead of using lasagna noodles for lasagna, she taught me how to use chicken deli breast. And I just had a friend tell me, oh my gosh, even my husband loves this keto lasagna. Like, it was amazing. So anyway, but a bunch of questions came up this week, and I thought, okay, let's just chat a little bit about like some food and some other questions. And then I want to give you a couple of different testimonies also. So yeah, you could totally get into the group. In fact, let's see, you're on Instagram. Instagram, you could go to the link in my bio, and there's a Facebook blue button you can push. You can click on the Facebook blue button and get in that way. You can do that. Seriously, you guys, it is so much fun to do these challenges, and people come out with their testimonies, and it's very, very exciting. Okay, so basically, some of the questions are super simple, but I just know that if one person is asking questions about food items and things like that, then other people are asking as well. And I just want to help you guys field a couple of things. So there are some people that are like, you know what, I'm just so new to changing out my ingredients. And when I teach things about food, I want to make sure that people understand that this is not the most mountainous thing ever. So when I was growing up, when I was a little girl, I was raised Italian. I was raised by an Italian dad who had type 2 diabetes, and he died at the age of 63. But when I was a little girl, it was a really big deal for our family. And I think I talked about this recently. We never passed up a Dairy Queen. I don't know, if I have a memory of passing up a Dairy Queen at all. That was so ingrained in our, that was our fun. That was our comfort, right? To be able to go to Dairy Queen with dad. And things like that get to be kind of deep inside of us. And then we have a hard time sometimes changing out those ingredients because we have emotional connections to things. And I just want you to know that, when I began to change out my ingredients, I knew that I had to go on my own journey. I knew that I had to really begin that self-assessment of, why did something bother me, or why does something have a connection? And I wanted to do it without shame. And I don't know if that resonates with anybody. But I would love to know if it does, because sometimes we have so many stories that go on in our head that we don't know how to get out of these cycles of food connections. And that was definitely true for myself. And I remember those days so strongly. I can close my eyes and I am at the Dairy Queen, and we are ordering Mr. Misty's lemon lime and, or ice cream cones. And I remember all of it. I remember the little corner Dairy Queen in this little town that was next to us. I'm in Minnesota. And so obviously summertime is a big deal. So there are all of these different connections. So the reason why I love teaching food so much in my Facebook group is because you have to fix what got you into the pickle to begin with. My insulin resistance started in my 20s. I was gestational diabetic with my first baby. I was hypoglycemic with my second baby, but I did nothing for 20 years. Nothing. And because I don't know, I just wasn't really making connections. I just wasn't really thinking about stuff. It just doesn't matter. I was not very aware of my body, all of that kind of stuff. And so I just like took my 30s and fed my kids whatever, like all the white everything. But then I hit my 40s and my mom won't leave me alone about my sugars. And I always say, God bless her. Like seriously, she passed away a year ago at 94. God bless my mama, because she was on me. I always say, like, white on rice. Kirsten, do you know where your sugars are? Do you know where your sugars are? Do you know, like, Kirsten, what is wrong with you? Do you even go to the doctor? Do you get your sugars checked? Like, hello, your dad died 15 years ago. Like, what are you doing or not doing? And I just was living life is really what I was doing. And so it's because of her that I actually started to make changes. Now, don't get me wrong. I did not start right away changing out my foods. And that's what I want to answer a couple of questions about tonight, just things that came up during the challenge. I didn't, because I honestly didn't believe in my heart that as an Italian girl that I could change out my foods. I was very connected to food, lots of emotional connections, right? Like I always tell people in the Italian family, okay, so the night before the funeral, there's a wake. And I suppose that kind of comes out of the Catholic denomination. I don't know, because I was actually raised Lutheran, but I think it's more Catholic that you have a wake. Maybe in other denominations, you have a visitation. But if you only could go to either the wake or visitation or the funeral the next day, you always opted for the funeral, always, because the food after the funeral was going to be amazing. I know that sounds crazy, but because we celebrated with food at weddings and we mourned with food at funerals, like this was my life, right? So I started with targeted supplementation. I talk about that all the time, and we'll get to that later, whatever. And you've heard me talk about that. And that's where the testimonies come from, of people's sugars coming down and they're losing weight. Okay, that's great. But I knew that I eventually had to change out the foods that I was eating. And so when I finally decided to do that, I was in my early 50s. I had had shoulder surgery for a rotator cuff. I had a car accident, and my cycle never came back after that. And so it kind of threw me into menopause. That's a whole another conversation for another live, for another night. But my point being that everything really did change on another level from there, because then you know what? You start getting fat in areas that you're not really very excited about. And I was like, I got to figure out my food. I just got to figure out my food. I mean, I had already kind of gotten my insulin resistance under control with the supplements, blah, blah, blah. But now I'm like, okay, I got to do this. So I went on this journey, and I didn't have anybody. I didn't have anybody like me, like online talking about this stuff. I did this all in my own head. And I feel like, I did choose to have grace for myself, and I did choose to like do things without shame, because I started to identify conversations that were happening from my childhood. Things like, and I was just saying this to a friend of ours last night. You grew up in an Italian family. Tell me if this resonates with you. You have to eat, manja, manja. But then when you gain weight, you're told to lose weight. But then when you lose weight, you're told not to get too skinny. And I do talk about that a lot, because you guys, the more that I talk about this, the more I find out that I am not the only one that this is true for. And so sometimes we have to identify just stuff that's going on in our brains, in our minds, in our default conversations that we're having, so that we can say, no, I'm not going to live by that creed anymore. That motto, that creed, that track that's in my brain. And so I did a lot of self-assessment in my 50s. I'm 59 now. And I'm the only one in my family that avoided type 2. I'm not on any meds. And I just like to share how I did it. And I get so excited, because now my biggest testimonies come from people who are type 2. And a part of the reason why that is because they know they have the most noticeable difference to be noticed, and they are tracking their sugars. So where I'm not, because I'm not type 2, I did when I was gestational diabetic. I poked my fingers 4 times a day I had holes all over my finger. I hated that so badly. Y'all have like glucose meters now, like, continuous glucose monitors on your arms. That's not what I had, right? So I was doing that 4 times a day, and I still I have that memory of you tried so hard not to hit that point again, the same hole. It hurt so bad. But anyway, okay. So it's just really super interesting. The whole conversation that you can have around bringing sugars down, and therefore then your weight finally comes down. Because when your insulin or your sugars are high, you're stuck and you can't lose weight. Okay, let's get to some of the questions that came in during the challenge this week, because what I do is every month I do a 5-day challenge at the beginning of the month. And then I want that to put tools in your toolbox so that then you can nail the month. So we just finished up one today and we did a recipe, and now you can nail April. If you were in the challenge, let me know in the comments if you were in the challenge this week. I would love to know. It really is an opportunity to take 1 month and then attach it to another month. You can they're like building blocks so that then you can say, where will I be by the end of the year? Because it's a journey, it's a process, right? So having said that, here were just some basic things that kind of came in. So I do teach grain-free, sugar-free cooking. Now, that's crazy because, like I said, I'm Italian. So the chances of me ever thinking that I was going to go sugar-free were very, 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 very low. But you were in the challenge, Jacqueline. Very good. Yep. I love it so much. And you and Teresa. Okay, so Teresa says she bought everything today to make the lasagna, making a couple of changes to it. Good for you. But looking forward to trying it. Love the chopped mushrooms and the meatloaf tip. Yep. Maria's a genius. Making one this weekend too. I do always add peppers and onions to mine. Yep, but never mushroom. Love this one. You have a passion for cooking as an Italian, so you're looking forward to tweaking some of my family recipes. Pure creativity. Yeah, good. Yeah, manja. I know. It's just terrible, isn't it? That's so good. I'm so excited about that, Teresa. And you'll have to let me know when you get your glucose product in the mail. So that's on its way. It's literally en route. Anyway, so here are just some basic questions that were asked. And if you guys have further questions that from the challenge that kind of are coming up to you, or it doesn't even have to be from the challenge, but just in general, let me know, because then I can go ahead and just answer them for you. And then I'm going to give you a couple of testimonies and I'll let you go into your weekend with encouragement and hope for your heart. How does that sound? Okay, so basically the first question is, we're talking about Maria Emmerich bread. Have you guys made the Maria Emmerich bread yet? Who has made that yet? I would love to know. I would love to know. Let me see if I'm missing anything there. I am not missing anything. I just want to make sure. Okay. The Maria Emmerich bread is an egg white protein powder bread. And so you're using a gelatin, and that's what's giving you the texture that you're looking for. Is you can actually find that. It is pinned to the top of the Instagram. There's an 8-minute tutorial that you could go watch if you wanted to know what I'm talking about. And so instead of using grain for bread, instead of using, you had some for dinner tonight. That is so awesome. So somebody was asking me, and I don't remember who, so I apologize, but can you use Knox gelatin instead of a beef gelatin for that bread? So this is question number 1. And I actually do get asked this a lot. So it's frequently asked questions tonight. The answer is yes, you can. It's Knox gelatin, like that you can get at Walmart, like in the baking aisle or whatever. It's just a pork gelatin. And then the beef gelatin is a beef gelatin. You ordered the protein powder and beef gelatin that I talked about. Which protein powder, Teresa? Was that the one off of my website? Which one? I'd love to know. Oh, you mean the egg white protein powder. Good for you. Oh, that's exciting. Okay. I can't wait to have you try that. You'll have to send me a picture when you make the bread. And just remember, there's a learning curve. It's okay. It's all going to be okay. So, all right. Very, very good. And the next question is, can we have cauliflower? Somebody had just said that I hadn't mentioned that a whole lot. Yeah, totally. You can have cauliflower. And in fact, pinned to the top of the group, if you guys are in there, and if you aren't in there, that's okay. But remember that on TikTok, you guys, there was this viral cherry tomato feta dish that went around like a couple of years ago. And when that went around, somebody had added like chicken to it and then added roasted cauliflower. That makes an amazing dish. If you guys have never ever made something like that, it is so, so good. And all you have to do is take basically a block of feta and put it into like a pan with your cherry tomatoes, and you're basically baking that and you're turning it into a sauce, adding, garlic and onion, etc. But you're kind of just like putting that together and you're making a cheese sauce. Well, if you add chicken to that, like cubed chicken and cauliflower, roasted cauliflower, and I roasted it in my air fryer. If you've never done that, that is literally amazing. So basically, if you do that, I feel like you can totally have cauliflower. That's no big deal. What brand of spaghetti sauce? Okay, so this is the deal. Now, if you guys all know, yep, the egg white protein, perfect. If you all know the spaghetti sauce named Raos, R-A-O-S, that's a really good brand. But I heard, have you guys heard this? That it has been bought out by Campbell's. So I don't know if the actual, hold on, I gotta shoot, that didn't go there right. So that one basically, I don't know. Oh, shoot. Hey, Carrie, come here. So basically, Rao's got bought out by Campbell's. And so I actually don't know if it's going to stay the same ingredients or not. And so what I'm going to say about that is the fact that you have to check the ingredients as you kind of keep watching the production come out on that. But for the most part, they have really good ingredients and they are not seed oil based and all of that stuff. And I would definitely use that for now and keep an eye out on it. But it's a really good sauce. It has like, you're going to notice like the ingredients are not corn syrup. The ingredients are not seed oils. The ingredients are not sugar. They are really good things. So that's the spaghetti sauce that I've been recommending for people, but you guys can look for yourself. You might even be able to find generic brands that are actually really good. What were you able to accomplish? Thank you. That's amazing. That changes my whole life. So basically, the next one is, what about a clean protein drink? And so I do have a clean protein drink that I use. It's sweetened with stevia, and I really like it. If you are needing a clean protein drink, on Facebook, you could drop just drop the word pod, P-O-D, and I'll send you like a link to the protein pods that I use. They have like a vegetable casing and they dissolve inside of like liquid. And they're really good. Chocolate, strawberry, vanilla. They're really great, but they're clean and they're keto friendly. And they even have branched chain amino acids in it. I mean, honestly, it's such a great protein powder. If you're looking, I don't do a lot of processed food at all. That's the one thing that I actually will add into my universe. So on Facebook, you guys can always drop pod. On Instagram, you would have to DM me because once you drop stuff, I can't see it. So if you're on the replay, tell me where you're on the replay from. On Instagram, you can come back to the video after I post it and put that. You know what? I don't know about that line, to be really honest. I don't know anything about that line for a clean protein powder. That's a good question, though. It wouldn't surprise me if they have something, but I don't know. So, but anybody else, if you need a clean one, that's a good one. So what was another question? Okay. Then somebody was asking me my thoughts on intermittent fasting. And actually, it's funny, I was asked online and then I was asked last night by a friend. And this is where I'm at on it. And again, I'm not a doctor. Not that doctors recommend intermittent fasting because most of them probably don't, but these are just my thoughts on it. So I deal a lot with people who are definitely walking through some food connections, like emotional connections to food. So you can take it as two ways. Yes, does intermittent fasting potentially have benefits for, autophagy, et cetera? Yes. But I don't think it's a magic pill. Can it benefit an eating window so that you're really kind of, being able to hone in and stuff? And yes, and I'm probably not I just feel like it depends on where somebody is on their particular journey with food. I'm so conflicted. I have conflicting information that's coming from different people. Like Gary Brecka would say 30, 30, 30. Within 30 minutes of waking, have 30 grams of protein, your eggs and stuff, and then walk for 30 minutes or something like that, or something like that. And then somebody else might say intermittent fasting is like the be all, is the bee's knees, it's the be all end all, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I kind of feel like, this is just me personally, I feel like there are no hard and fast rules when it comes to things like that. I actually want to teach people. I don't want to give you a fish. I want to teach you how to fish. I want to teach you how to assess your own body, to pay it. We kind of medicate ourselves with food or with habits or with routines. We have defaults that are set in. We have tracks in our brain. Who do you think you are? You're never going to do it anyway, whatever. Like like we think it's all about willpower. We don't understand that it's about hormones and all of these things. We already have all this stuff going on. And so I really want I want you guys to learn how to assess yourself and then choose to do it without any shame. And again, I never know if that really resonates with people, but it's like, actually, that's not true. I do know it resonates. It's not true. I do know, because we are really hard on ourselves. And so, like on Monday in the challenge, I was talking about, we are told that there are many, many of you that go to the doctor and they basically just make you feel like you are a loser for not being able to figure out your weight. And then the system teaches us that it's all about balance and moderation. So therefore, if you are having a hard time with your weight, you are thought to be not practicing moderation. So there's a lot of shame involved with that, and a lot of what's my word? Dismissiveness. You're dismissed. You're not heard. And I didn't know that insulin was a hormone. I was very unaware of my body in my 40s. I went my entire life late into my life, into my late 40s, without any like connection to my body, without really assessing anything. And so I was the poster child for sugar addiction. I was the poster child for never taking a supplement. I was the poster child for not eating healthy. Like, favorite food, salt and pepper kettle chips, Trader Joe's, like none of what I teach now existed in my world back then. None of it. And so when I finally found out that, it's like, oh, insulin is a hormone, and if your insulin is high and your sugars are high, you can't lose weight. Oh, and you can be insulin resistant for decades before your sugars rise. Oh, like insulin is a fat storing hormone. Oh, insulin is it's a key that opens up your cell to get in your energy. This is why I'm exhausted. This is why I have brain fog. This is why I'm gaining weight. This is why I can't lose weight. This is why I'm chasing my tail. This is why I'm on a hamster wheel. This is why all of these things started to like make sense to me. And so when you have that information, you can go further. You can really go further in your world, because now you understand that insulin is a key player. Does that make sense? So those are the things that I did not know and I did not understand. The last one is, what role do omegas play? Well, omegas are really anti-inflammatory, but you don't want to get just any omega. You don't want to get because if you go to the store and you buy fish and it's farmed, don't do that. You need wild caught fish, right? So you want a wild caught supplement as well. So you can always, like on Facebook, you can always put fish in the put fish and I'll send you what I take. I'll send you a link to that. And you guys, TikTok, you guys can always, there's a number on my profile that you can text and ask me stuff. Is full fat cottage cheese okay? Yeah, it is. Yeah. You just, if you are stalled on your weight, you're going to want to be careful about, like, you might want to back off on dairy and or nuts. That's kind of how that goes when you're doing a good clean keto or a good clean, you want protein as much as you can all day long. And if that protein is dairy, like cottage cheese or Greek yogurt, and that's stalling you out, back off, see what happens. Again, it's assessing, you know. You're so welcome. Thank you. Thank you for taking the time to teach us. You're so awesome, Angie. Thank you very much. So Tech 2888, I'm so sorry, Instagram. Your comment is going to go away the minute I stop my live. So you either have to come back to the video and put that in the comments or just DM me here on Instagram, okay? Because it goes away. Oh, good. You love cottage cheese, Julie. Yes, you can have cottage. In fact, you guys, remember when I was just talking about the protein powder? So the pods, these little pods that are in these vegetable casings, one of them is strawberry. When I was growing up as a little girl, we used to make some in Minnesota. In fact, there's somebody on TikTok. She's like the Midwestern mom. She's Minnesota salads that really aren't salads. Okay, so that was my entire life. So we would make fluff, cottage cheese, Cool Whip, strawberry jello, and a can of pineapple drained. And that was called fluff in our world. Well, when I take cottage cheese and I'll take a half of a strawberry pod and I'll mix it in there, that to me is a childhood memory. Oh my gosh, like that's really, really cool that you can actually do that. That's really cool. Thank you for liking. I appreciate you. I thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. Yes, doctor shame is a real thing. Keeps many women from going to the doctor at all. Kept me away for years because of it. Had symptoms, but did not want to go to the doctor for more shame. Found out my symptoms were cancer. I am so sorry. Doctors need to educate themselves more. I know. Julie, you're waiting for a piece of the coconut pie? You need to make the coconut pie, Julie. It's so good. Make the coconut pie. And then take a picture and send me a picture. You did Cool Whip, pistachio pudding, pineapple bits, and walnuts. Yep. I'm telling you. And just think about this, you guys. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, and you didn't even put like cottage cheese in there. So you had like no protein. Well, the walnuts had a little bit of protein, but it's just so sad. Like, seriously, it's just all sugar. I remember going to a potluck because, again, I'm in Minnesota. So a potluck. And the salad was Cool Whip, cut up green apples, and cut up Snicker bars. And that was a salad. Oy vey in Michigan. See, there you go. You're very, very similar to me, Julie. Very similar in that. That's really wild. Is cream cheese okay, Cheryl? Yes. Do I have a blood sugar monitor? That's a very good question. I actually do not. I tested my blood when I was gestational diabetic with my first baby all the time because I had to. But when I finally turned back around my own insulin resistance, and I'll give you a couple of testimonies here because it's Testimony Friday. But I use supplements. But then I fixed and changed out my food. But I don't use a continuous glucose monitor. I now know the signs of insulin resistance and I know how that it would make me feel. And so I'm able to now, it took me a few years to get it all kind of like turned back around, et cetera, like including my food in my pantry and whatnot. But I never did. And this was maybe about a decade ago where glucose monitors were not common. So as they've become really popular, I certainly don't put them down. I feel like we have a lot of chaos around us as to what spikes our sugars. I feel like we have a lot of confusion in our minds as to what actually will spike our sugars and what won't. And so I feel like it could be a very beneficial tool if somebody has one. I don't think it's a must, but I think it can be very beneficial depending upon your level of knowing. Like I had somebody just today said, I literally am just starting and I don't have a clue. Then that might be a tool that you consider. And is cream cheese okay? Yeah. And I always go full fat cream cheese. When you go, this is what's so sad about the whole thing. So when my dad died, type 2 diabetic, and he did it all. He did the heart surgeries and the pacemaker and the kidney dialysis. And he died with a lazy Susan full of medication. And it really bothered me that he was on all of this medication and he was still gone. But, I've had many years now to reflect as I've gone through this journey on my own, and to really think about all of the foods that he was told to eat by the medical community that are really trash for somebody who is insulin resistant and or then further along has already turned into type 2 diabetes. And like we went through that low fat, but the truth is that he would eat like skim milk on his Cheerios or Rice Krispies or Raisin Bran or grape nuts or whatever. And he was just waking up every day and spiking his sugars to the moon. That's what he was doing every single day. And then eventually he was on 2 injections of insulin in his belly every day. And it just continued. And he thought he was doing the right thing, right? And it's just not true. So if you look at anything that's low fat, skim milk, low fat, light, cream cheese light, fat-free, anything, you hold that up against something that has actual fat in it, because fat's not your enemy at all. But you will see higher sugars and they've taken the fat out. It's really going to spike your sugar. So that goes back to the conversation of if you had a glucose monitor, you would be able to test something like that. And that would probably be very beneficial. Not going to lie. Why was I advised by a trainer that dairy causes inflammation and hinders weight loss? Am I being misguided? Seems you use it quite often. So Miriam, actually, no. I think you must have just jumped on because I was just talking about how if you are stalling in your weight loss, you have to back off on the dairy and back off on the nuts. So dairy can be inflammatory, and it depends on what you're eating and how much of it. To be really honest, I monitor my own dairy. I know that like today we did the ranch dressing and stuff like that, but I don't eat dairy all the time. So these are little things that I've done. I've never gone completely dairy free. And again, that's my own world, right? Like I don't have to have coffee every day, but if I'm going to have coffee, I'm going to put real cream in my coffee. And again, I don't do that. I just don't even make coffee in my house anymore. It's just because it doesn't matter to me. But if I'm going to go out, maybe. So I'm not going to do the creamers that I used to do, all of the hazelnut creamers and the International Delight creamers and all of that kind of stuff. But I am going to just do straight cream. If I'm going to have if I go through a little spurt of having Greek yogurt in my house and my weight is like stalling out, I stop buying it. And so for some people, it can be very inflammatory and it can stall weight. So no, you haven't been misled. Everybody has to assess themselves. And you know what? Everybody's at a different place in their journey too. So if you're at the very beginning of your journey and you're learning how to transition foods, it's better for you to have the cottage cheese and the plain Greek yogurt that you sweeten yourself than it is for you to be eating the sweet potatoes and, whatever, because those are going to spike your sugars. So you have to decide where you're at in your journey, and everybody's kind of in a different place. In the deep South, food is a love language. Our families adjust many recipes for our health. Yep. I know. And we have to, I always tell people, listen, I thought I had to stop being a foodie. That's what I thought for myself. But then I found out through people like Maria Emmerich that I didn't have to stop being a foodie. I could still be a foodie. I just had to change out the ingredients to the foods that I personally already loved. So you get to do the same thing for yourself. You ask yourself, what are the foods that you love? And then find alternatives to those. And like Maria Emmerich has a complete like dairy-free cookbook that you can look up if you're trying to scale back the dairy to make the most progress in your weight, right? You can totally do that. Okay, hold on. What do I think about adaptogenic mushroom coffee or mushroom matcha tea? I don't know anything about that, Teresa, but I do love adaptogenic herbs. And I do talk to people, especially women, about like the purple packet, talk about that all the time because adaptogenic herbs can change a lot of stuff in your body. So I don't really know specifically about mushroom coffee, but potentially I'm for it. I just haven't studied it at all. You have 2 of her books. That's awesome. Through my recommendation. I'm so excited. I love hearing that because you know what? That makes me know that like, just like I did it all by myself. Like I didn't have anybody to, whatever. I didn't have anybody in my world. So I want to be the person in your world that can like help you in that journey. I want to be able to help you and be like, go check this out and go check this out because, oh my gosh, it can all of a sudden you go, this isn't as mountainous as they wanted me to think it was. One of the things that make me the most mad, and then I'm going to give you some testimonies here because I want you to have hope in your heart. I don't like it when people say that this is too restrictive. I don't like that. But the reason why I don't like it is because, listen, you want to know what's restrictive? Restrictive is when you are dealing with side effects of meds and you're so exhausted and you feel like crap and you can't get out of bed and function for the day. Restrictive is the way that my dad was living because he was on kidney dialysis. And he would go to dialysis on Monday. He would throw up on Monday night. And then on Tuesday, he would feel good. And then on Wednesday, he'd go back to dialysis. And then on Wednesday night, he would throw up. I'm just saying. So those things that people are saying out there in the world, no. When you can do something like that and get a different book like that and you find something, oh my gosh, I love you. I don't comment much, but you have been one who has helped me change a couple months back. Oh my gosh. Oh, my heart. I'm so glad. Thank you for commenting tonight. Thank you for doing that. I actually want to screenshot that. How do I screenshot that? Hold on. My hand's going to get in your way. Hold on. Thank you for telling me that. It matters to me so much because I just know what I lived with. My kids lost their grandpa when they were 6'3" and 6 months old. This is no joke. 50 years ago, the only people that had fatty liver were alcoholics. Now it's in our children. It's a really big deal. And I eat grain-free, sugar-free, right? So I don't ache. Guess what? I don't ache. I'm 59 years old. I can get down on the floor with my grandbabies. I have energy. I know how to like take adaptogenic herbs and do the things that I want to do. You love Maria's comfort food cookbook. Never heard of her before. Thank you. Oh, yay, Teresa. See, it makes me so happy. That fills me up. Okay, so on the other side of life. So what I talk about a lot is the way that I started, which was adaptogenic. I did that. I did adaptogenic herbs for my brain fog. Then it helped me balance out my hormones. I talk to women about that all the time, blah, blah, blah. That's the purple packet. But I talk a lot in the group and stuff about the trio. Those are the 3 supplements that have the 3 ingredients that help with insulin sensitivity. And I started taking these over a decade ago. This is how I was able to pacify my mom when she was talking to me about my sugars all the time. Okay. This was the beginning of my journey. And it calmed my mind about food and cravings. I've had other people tell me that that's what's happened to them. But then also too, the best testimonies that I get are the people who actually are testing their blood. And so every Friday I've been coming and doing testimonies because I get every week I have testimonies. So these are the 2 testimonies I want to share this week. And if you're on Facebook or YouTube, you can always put trio in the comments and I can get back to you. Instagram, you have to DM me, and TikTok, there's a number on my There's a number on my profile, and you can literally text TRIO, TRIO, and that number will give you a response so that you can at least get some basic information. Okay. Anyway, I just love these so much. So she starts out by saying, I already ordered another batch because she just started on the TRIO. I already ordered another batch for the next month. I'm down 8 pounds since March 15th and 2.5 weeks of no grains or sugar. My blood glucose is unbelievable. And again, I never make any claims, right? That's not my job, but I will read you a testimony because it's constant. And Instagram, you can see the highlight bubble at the top of the page filled with testimonies that literally maybe are even just from the beginning of the year. I'm trying to remember right now, but like these are fresh testimonies. My blood glucose is unbelievable, lower than it has been in years. And did I say that she just started this middle of March? Like, y'all, it gets me so excited. Glucose Revolution, Jesse. Oh, interesting book on Amazon. I don't know who that is. That's so interesting. I'm going to write that down, Julie. Okay, and the second testimony is somebody that she just texted me this. So these always come in from last Friday to this Friday. That's how this is working. On February 15th, she was 205.6 pounds. And on April 4th, so that's 6 weeks later, she's down 10 pounds, 195.6 pounds. And she says now she's measuring her waist too. Because I always teach everybody, listen, the scale is a stinker. And it's really just telling you a lot about gravity, and it can be telling you a lot about water retention and all sorts of dumb stuff. So if you are too triggered by the scale, then don't worry about it and measure yourself. If you want to do both, do both. Take pictures, measure yourself, do all sorts of things, because you've got to celebrate your own progress and you have to stop shaming yourself for your own journey. Don't do that. So anyway, that's what I want to say about that. But that's so exciting. So she's down 10 pounds in 6 weeks. And I'm telling you, when you get over 40, see, I'm so convinced that women are in their 40s, they're sliding in, they're insulin resistant, and they do not know it. They don't know that insulin is a hormone, and they don't know that it is a key. Their key is broken. The key is broken because when you're insulin resistant, your cell says no more. No more to insulin and no more to the fuel that insulin is trying to get into the cell. Okay, because you're resistant. So that's why you have to become insulin sensitive again. You have to become insulin sensitive and open back up again so the key can work. So we need to bring it down. High inflammation, let's bring it down. If your sugars are staying up now all the time, which over time happens, you got to bring this down, and then you can finally lose weight. So that's why the testimonies are so important, because it's telling a story. It's telling a story of, I started taking the supplementation that helped my body do what it needed to do. And then and they're just like, what's going on? Like, I was stuck for 3 years and on maybe meds. That's another part of the things that I don't ever make any claims, but I'm just telling you, these are the testimonies, right? So they're like, for 3 years, I got my A1C down, but I couldn't finally lose. I couldn't bust the barrier of finally losing weight. And then all of a sudden in 2 months, they can get their morning sugars down. 2.5 months, her story is, morning sugars down from the 180s down to the 150s, and then 14 pounds gone. Just telling you, it's very exciting. I get very excited. Yeah, Teresa, just for sure. I'll totally tell you about the purple packet. Seriously, that's just a whole nother conversation. So again, I knew none of this. So there's the one coin, and on one side of the coin, you have insulin resistance, which is insulin is a hormone. And then on the other side of the coin, you have all of your other hormones. This is in my brain. I'm making this up. This is how my life went. So I had no idea that these were all connected. I did not understand the interconnectivity of it all. So I'm in my 40s. I'm at a job, and I'm thinking, what's wrong with me? I have such brain fog and I can't multitask. And I'm like, is this just what it's like to get old? Am I just like, is this normal? And you kind of don't want people to know. And I needed to multitask at a high level because I was working in a medical clinic. And so somebody came along and they said, "Here, try this adaptogenic herb." No, she actually didn't even say that. That's not even true. She just said, "Hey, try this. It's gonna like brighten your mind, kind of like a light bulb." And I'm like, "Okay, cool. I'll do that." Because again, I'm totally unaware. I'm not even a supplement taker. Like the only supplement I laugh because when I look back to my 30s, there was a supplement that was on the shelves that has now been banned for weight loss, and it was an ephedra product, and maybe it was called ephedra. I don't remember. It had a name. My friend would know. And we would take it all the time because you're in your 30s, you just do whatever, right? And so that was my like, the totality of my supplement journey. So all of a sudden she's like, "Here, take this for your brain fog." And I'm like, "Cool, totally." I was like, "Wow, this is very helpful. My mind is bright. I can multitask. I feel more confident. I don't feel as concerned up against my coworkers that are in their 20s." Okay. So I start taking it more regularly. And eventually, like I said, I have shoulder surgery, car accident, have to get my rotator cuff fixed, blah, blah, blah. I go into surgery, I come out. Um, Julie, you're not on meds and doctors are amazed. Hallelujah. I love that, Julie, so much. Thank you for sharing that. So my shoulder freezes, but we don't know it. They don't know it. I don't know it. All I know is I'm in a lot of pain, a lot of pain. So I'm like really interested in the meds that help with that. And I stopped taking all my supplementation. I'm like, I really don't care about my supplementation right now because I'm in a lot of pain and I'm trying to start physical therapy and like it's too much. So all of a sudden, about 90 days after I have surgery, I'm like, no cycle, but I'm not piecing it together. But all of a sudden, I start to have warm feelings kind of in my body. And I'm like, I've never had a hot flash. What is this? And I know that for me, I know that it was God that dropped this either into my mind or into my spirit, however you want to, you probably both. And I went, "Oh, I think the herbs that I was taking, that was keeping me from having hot flashes." Now, why would I think that? I was the most unaware person on the face of the planet as a female. Totally not into my body, totally not into clean eating, totally not into supplementation. That's not true. I was taking supplementation for my sugars. That's all the further I had really gotten, just to be honest. But all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh, like this revelation. So I immediately go back on what is now called, it wasn't called the purple packet at the time, but I go back on that. I never did have a hot flash. So I had to reverse engineer. Why did this work? What was going on? And I started to study adaptogenic herbs. And I came to understand that adaptogenic herbs help your body adapt to stress. They can come in and they can support your adrenals, and your adrenals sit on top of your kidneys and they regulate your hormones. Now, I previously worked with a naturopath who told me, "Kirsten, you will go through menopause the way you take care of your adrenals." Now, that got filed into my brain somewhere, right? Like I didn't go, "Oh, I'm going to take notes on that because I'm paying attention to my body." No, that was not me. But she said that to me and I went, "Oh, well, then I'm going to take care of my adrenals. I have no idea what an adrenal is, but I'm going to take care of it. I'm going to figure this out." Well, then I didn't do anything about it. But that's when I went, boom. I've been taking care of my adrenals and I didn't even know it. So that's why that was actually the beginning of a lot of my content about 6 years ago, 6 years ago, 5 to 6. A lot of my content was really for hormones in general. And now I've just narrowed to the conversation of the one hormone, insulin. Even though, yes, we tangent off on cortisol, we tangent off on whatever. But once I understood that God gave us answers and I stumbled upon answers. I'm like, everybody needs to know this. And especially with my connection to type 2 and all of the things that go along with that with my dad and my whole family. And that's just where that all kind of comes from with that. I think I might have missed something. Hold on. Maybe I didn't. Thank you for following. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So anyway, so those were the testimonies. And if anybody needs anything from that, I'd be more than happy to talk to you. My DMs are open. TikTok, you can always, there's a number you can text me on. If you want to just text me, I will answer you. If you want just information on the trio and you don't have a specific question, you can just text trio to the number and it will give you an answer and then we can talk. Facebook and YouTube, you can always drop trio in the comments and I'll answer you. And then Instagram, you have to DM me or come back after the video has been posted and then I will see it because otherwise it'll disappear. Hello, Miss Anna. Good to see you. We've been chatting. We've been chatting. So, oh, something came in. What came in? Something beeped. I don't know. It's okay. So anyway, so Teresa, that's my story about the purple packet. And if you need to know, Anna, do you have the purple packet? I do believe. So you can always ask, we'll chat in Messenger. That's what we can do, Teresa. I'd be more than happy. But I just, if you can find answers that are not coming from a place where you feel like you're being dismissed, coming from a place where you feel like you're not being heard, then that's very helpful. I'm a very strong believer in advocacy for yourself. You have to just start assessing your body and don't feel bad about it. Don't feel bad. Just start assessing because the answers that are out there, oftentimes, not always, are maybe frustrating or maybe they're not enough. And we're not getting good information is kind of maybe the way I want to say that. So you made the coconut cream pie today. Way to go, Anna. Julie's going to try it. And you love the purple packet. I do too. Tell me what you love the most about the purple packet, Anna. I would love to know. For me, at the very beginning, it was the brain fog and then and the fact that I could multitask. And then it was for me, the fact that when I realized it was helping me with my hormones, that was a good day. Because like I said, now I'm 59. So anyway, us girls, we got to stick together. Mental focus. Yep. I agree with you. There's, it makes you feel an energy. Yeah. It makes you feel vulnerable as a woman. This is how I felt. Maybe not everybody, but especially in the workplace, which is where I was, I didn't want to feel that vulnerable feeling of it's almost that question of, number one, what's wrong with me? And where did my old self go? Where did she go? Balloons on Instagram. That's so funny. And you ask that question, like, what happened? Like we spend all this time raising our babies. We finally get to our 40s and maybe we're looking empty nest in the eye. We're so excited. And then bam, we're foggy. We can't multitask. We're exhausted. Maybe we're dealing with a little bit of anxiousness, maybe a little bit of sadness. The sadness that I felt after my baby, my post P, I have to be careful, a little more careful when I've got this up, TikTok. Post P was bad for me. Bad. And then when you feel that kind of starting to like creep back in your 40s because of hormonal changes, you're like, no, ma'am, because you're just literally going, hold on. Like I was looking empty nest in the face. And now like what? Like how am I supposed to enjoy my life if that's the case? So no more mental fog. That's so good, Anna. Yeah. So you want to function. And as women, there just seems to be maybe not a lot of answers always out there. So anyway, But if you, and on TikTok, I know the purple packet basically is, it's 3 supplements inside of one little packet. I actually have it here. Hold on. It's always on me. I'm a true believer in what I talk about. So it's literally, it's a purple packet, and it literally has 3 supplements inside. And one of them has the adaptogenic herb that I started with all of those years ago. And I do, I'm trying to think of what river I want to go down here. But basically, this is a it's a mood brightener, and it's a mind brightener. Okay. The second one is all 8 of your B vitamins time released. And if you could see it, which I don't know that you can, there's a light green on one side and a dark green on the other. And it's a time release, which I don't know that there's anything like that on the market. And there are a lot of women that don't know if they're deficient in certain B vitamins that there can be anxiousness and sadness. I'm going to use those terms to stay compliant with the algorithm, if you understand what I mean. And then the third one is 2 more adaptogenic herbs, and it's actually for memory. And so when you kind of put this all together in this little packet, it basically is giving you a little dose of adaptogenic herbs and then B vitamins. And I tell women, do 1 in the morning and then do 1 after lunch. And see how that starts to make you feel. And there are some women, not all at all, but there are some women who are like me, and they come back and they go, I can feel the difference, but I need to like take it to a different level. That's when I'm able to help them begin to take this adaptogenic herb and dose it just a little differently. There is a tweak in there that can be had. And that's what I did for myself, because I researched it. And so that's where I can kind of come in and help people customize just a tiny bit, so that you feel like you can get on top of, because as you can imagine, it takes time. It takes a little time for hormones to balance out. It takes a little time for adrenals to get supported, especially if you've had a lot of high cortisol for long periods of time. I mean, I know that I have customers that are, she's a labor and delivery nurse. There's a lot of high cortisol, 12-hour shifts, things like that, you want to be able to help with. So that's what that is. But anyway, and if you were to text me that on TikTok, that won't give you an auto reply. I will reply to you on that one, because I don't have anything set up for that. So I'd be more than happy. You carry them in your purse. I know. This is like my for real world. People kind of think I'm crazy. My brain does not work, to have little pill cases and everything is all so perfectly laid out and whatever. That's not my world. I've tried it. I've thought I need to be that person. And I just have decided that no, I'm just going to be me. My brain does this. I bought this at the dollar store. I just keep it filled. I know I'm very much of a Target supplementer, meaning I don't just willy-nilly take whatever. I take things for very specific reasons, because I'm a function person. So I need it to function for me. I need to know why I'm taking something. This is just me. And so I have everything. I need a new case. This is old and it's kind of cracked there. But anyway, but I have everything, and the people are like, how do you know what you're taking? How do I not know? Like, I've done this now for a really long time. I just kind of know what things look like. I know what anyway. So that's my life. I give you permission to be as weird as you want to be with your supplementation. You don't have to have, sometimes we think that in order to have a decent routine, we have to be like, the person who really like just has everything in order and they have all their ducks in a row and that blah, blah, blah. Do it the way that it works for you. And like she said, she carries it in her purse. This is literally in my purse. This fits in. I have many purses, but depending upon where I'm going, I've got so much going on here. But this literally, even in my crossbody that I have, this will fit in my crossbody. And so therefore, no matter where I am, I can easily like have this with me. So that's because I want to function. Functioning really matters to me. Like if I have an off day and I have brain fog, I'm like, Okay, what's going on? What's going on? That's not okay. I have things to do. I have, I need to go like tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, our two little grandsons are going to come to my house and sleep over. And they are 3 and 1.5. And do you think I might need a little bit of energy for that? I definitely need energy for that. So I'm very excited about that. But I don't want to not function. I want to be the grandma that can be present. I want to be present. My mom was having a lot of hip surgeries. She had a lot of high inflammation in her body. So she ended up with hip replacements and a knee replacement and things like that. And so that takes you out of the game for a little while, right? When you have to have surgeries, etc. And I don't want my life to look like that. So I've just decided that I'm not going to. And if I just assess my function as much as I possibly can is what I do. But anyway. All right. So if you guys need anything, you know where to find me. Thank you for hanging out. That was really fun. And wifey, thank you so much for your kind words. You really made my night. You made my night. And yeah, I'll be back. Have a really good weekend, you guys. Be super, super blessed. Okay. Have a good night. Okay, that's Instagram. See you guys later. Bye, Anna. Miss Anna, beautiful Anna. See you later. It's not touching. That's so funny.